The time has come for this to happen. Just as we as gamers don't want to care about anything that happens in the world, the problems of the world has to hit us. Tariffs have arrived in Gacha Games, and what does that mean for us? Let's talk about it.
China, 67%. That's tariffs. You know, you think of European Union, very friendly. They rip us off. It's so sad to see. It's so pathetic. 39% Indonesia, Malaysia, Cambodia. Oh, look at Cambodia, 97%.
Let's take a look at this new post created by the Yostar official store. Thank you for your continued support and trust in Yostar official store. Due to recent fluctuations in the United States import tariff policies, we have made a difficult decision to temporarily suspend order placements for the US region starting from April 17, which is about when you're seeing this video. This measure aims to mitigate risks such as customs clearance delays and additional fees, ensuring a smooth shopping experience for all players. We'll resume US shipments as soon as the trade policy stabilize, which we don't know when that will happen, and we'll share updates at a later date. You would have heard from your friends or your family that tariffs is this crazy thing that's going on in the world right now, and it's particularly coming from the country that is the United States. President Donald Trump is the one who has imposed tariffs on basically all the countries in the world. Almost all the countries, and right now we're facing a 10% tariff, but it can increase after the 90-day pause that he has placed. And for China instead, they are receiving a near 150% tariffs, which is a very big amount, and it's very problematic for us as consumers of gacha games, considering that a lot of gacha games do come from China. Now this won't affect anything that happens within games. You can play your favorite gacha games just fine, like Honkai Star Rail, Zenless, Watering, Arknights. Those things will still go on as per normal. But anything that happens outside of the game but is related to the game, those things will get affected, which I'll explain how after I explain what tariffs even are. Now, tariffs is an economic policy that raises the prices of imports. The Trump administration claims that this price increase is borne by the countries exporting the goods into America. But that is not true. When an American company were to import goods from maybe say a Chinese t-shirt factory, when that t-shirt comes in, it has a certain amount of price, but once it arrives into American shores, the increase in price is imposed onto the people who choose to make those imports. And these people usually can't exactly pay off the increase, so they will pass the increase in price onto the consumers. So consumers are basically paying for a tax on their products that this increase in money goes into the hands of the American government. So why is the government choosing to take on this policy? There are two big main reasons. Number one, this is to lower their trade reliance onto other countries. So with the high amount of tariffs placed onto Chinese goods, what this does is for the Chinese exporters, this will hurt their earnings since there is a higher price being placed onto their products. So people are less willing to buy their stuff, and therefore this basically hurts the trade. The other effect that this is supposedly going to do is to bring back manufacturing into the United States. So President Donald Trump himself claims that by relying less on the factories elsewhere, this means that people will be more incentivized to come back into the United States, build their factories over here, and then be able to make more homegrown products.
Bringing manufacturing back to America, creating high-wage jobs, was one of our campaign promises and themes, and it resonated with everybody.
I'm not an American myself, but as an outsider looking in, I have quite a lot of questions to the idea behind this, which number one, how long does it take to build these factories? Because I do believe that having more locally produced stuff is good, but if it's gonna take years, it's crazy that these tariffs are imposed so suddenly and expecting people to change their purchasing methods, because there's a lot of goods that US imports that they don't even produce at all within America. The second thing is that once the factories are being built, who will work in these factories? Because it has to be the American citizens themselves, unless Donald Trump is saying that he doesn't mind foreigners coming in and to take on these factory jobs. Because do Americans want to take on these manufacturing jobs? Some of them would, but it wouldn't be a lot of people. And even so, what's the pay like? Is it going to be high enough to make people convinced to take on these jobs? Is it better paying than some of the other jobs that they've done before? Another claim made by their government is that they call tariffs tax cuts.
So what's the message to the U.S. consumer?
The message is that tariffs are tax cuts, tariffs are jobs, tariffs are national security, tariffs are great for America, tariffs will make America great again.
He's actually not implementing tax hikes. Tariffs are a tax hike on foreign countries that again have been ripping us off. Tariffs are a tax cut for the American people.
But let's assume that their government is right, which probably means that the tariffs that the American citizens are paying is going to be returned back into their hands. Now, if that's the case, I wouldn't think that it's 100% of the tariffs going back into the citizens' hands. It's probably going to be a percentage, which means what Americans are basically doing is increasing government funding. They buy more goods and more of this money goes into the government hands and who knows what they do with it. But let's assume that it's like a full-on massive tax cut as the government claims. So that would just mean like 100% of the tariffs going back into the American hands. So it's kind of a situation where I give an extra $50 to the government from the groceries that I buy, and then they're paying me $50 back. Well, nothing changes, and if that's the case, why even impose such a chaotic policy? Now that you've understood the basic premise of tariffs, how will this affect the gacha gamers in America? This isn't just as simple as just a small little price increase. A lot of problems ripple down the line. The most obvious one is merchandise, where the merchandise products are more expensive. So as you see in the Yostar store, they suspend sales towards the United States so as to not have their consumers incur such a humongous price. Whereas in the case of other gacha games, they might not have done it, some might choose to continue selling their products, but once an American person were to go into their store, they're gonna see a really exorbitant price. Then the next problem is events being held in America. If there's any events happening in America like Anime Expo, Comic Con, those developers coming over with goods ready to sell, they also have to pay off tariffs, which means that the convention prices will be even higher and people might not be that interested to buy the goods, and this is going to hurt the developers from making the trip down. So it means that these game devs will be less interested to come over to the US just to show off their stuff. And that's not good in terms of like the culture building that can happen over there. And speaking of culture building, cosplayers are also very affected by this situation because a lot of cosplay goods come from China. The clothing, the materials. This basically means that cosplayers have to pay a much larger price in order to enjoy cosplay, and if they become less interested to pay off those prices, then you're gonna see less of such people around in America, and again, a game culture dies because of that. All in all, tariffs is just not good. It just throws in chaos and disorder onto many ordinary people's lives. People are just here wanting to buy goods, and if you can buy goods at the lowest possible price, why is that a bad thing? It helps us in life to get through our day-to-day. So this might not affect those of us who's outside of America right now, but it could just so happen because as you know, it's the whole trade war season. And if countries are all starting to impose retaliatory tariffs, so they're starting to just impose it back onto the US, and if countries start infighting with each other with tariffs, it's all not going to be good for us consumers, and that means we're all going to struggle. So even us as gamers, where we want to stay out of these kind of politics and stuff, at some point, it's going to affect us as well. This video doesn't have a solution as to how can we even solve this. All I can present in this video is that, holy shit, we're in the shit show. But that's as much as we can discuss. To those of you who are in America, what do you think about this? And even if you're not, let me know what you think about this down in the comments. That's all for this video. See you guys. Bye-bye. I filmed this video like under a week ago, and apparently there's already new information. US is threatening China to impose a 245% tariff. Why? And Hong Kong is choosing to suspend all packages coming in and out of it. Which is, wow, just straight up crazy because Yostar is from Hong Kong. So, shit!